We don't live in a just world. Our world is not one that's always just, always fair. Some games that we play are extremely fair. The more effort, the more work we put in, the more that we get back, the more we get rewarded. But some games, I would argue to say that most games are not fair. They're not really fair. They do not reward good behavior. And you've probably been there so many times at workplaces where everyone who behaves badly gets ahead. In your idea, that bad behavior shouldn't be rewarded. And the point is that we see this more and more and more in our world. Corruption, illegalities, things that are so close to just absolutely bad, atrocious behavior, ruthless behavior gets rewarded. And they get rewarded handsomely. And we have to understand that not all games are created equally. Not all of them are just. But the point is that most people who play these unfair games do not understand this one key concept. Whenever you are faced with a decision to become a worse person, to take a bad decision, to be a bad person, you lose that image of yourself as being good. Slowly but surely, you degrade your self respect, your self worth, your confidence, and everything else. You have to understand that even if you come back to just being a good person, you will never forget those things. Sure, you might forgive them. Sure, you might do a lot of therapy or whatever else, penance and forgiveness and all of these things. But you will never go back to being a good person, to having the self image and the self confidence of being a good person. Never. Once you learn things about yourself that you did in the past, you know that put into a corner, backed into an alleyway, you will crawl out of there like an animal. You will just rip your leg just to get out of there. You will just take out that part of yourself that thinks that you are a good person. And that part of your behavior will arise again. Because now we even have precedent. Because something has happened in the past, it guarantees that it will happen in the future. Not always, but it's much more difficult to abstain from that. Put into the same situation to make a different choice, it's much harder now because now you have the optionality of actually doing that action again because you lived with it for a longer time. And the longer it takes, the longer you live with that situation, the easier it is to justify it because we forgive ourselves, because we tend to just get over it and believe that we have built enough free will, enough goodwill to actually deserve a little bit more. And you see, that's the slippery slope. Once we do it once, we cannot go back. No matter what we do, no matter how many times we forgive ourselves, we will never be able to forget. But the point is that now we know how we are, and we have another decision. Do we become that person, or do we go back, knowing that we will never be able to forget the slip that we had? Because now it's going to be harder. We're not going to have the same confidence. We're not going to have the same amount of self worth because we know that at any point we might be able to do that again. We might be able to just roll in the mud with all the corrupt people, with all the bad people. We might be able to just do the bad behavior again. And unfortunately, that's how it is. You get a little bit of mud onto you. And the point is that we never get it out. We never just let it dry and fall off. Sure, we will live with that memory, but the dirt will go away. The deed gets undone. We have to live with ourselves. That is the punishment of bad behavior. That is the punishment of being corrupt, is the fact that we have to live with ourselves. And the point is that it is almost never worth it. It is almost never really worth it to do bad behavior, to be part of corruption, to play unfair games unfairly and unjustly. Once you do that, you will have to really change your self-image. And most people say that they are able to do this, to live like that. They would do anything to get what they want. But put into the situation, they would do a few bad things to get ahead, but then they would go back to being good. But the point is that it never changes. The fact that they have improved their situations, their mind just starts to integrate that behavior, and slowly they will see the world in a different way and themselves in a different way. They have lost their innocence. They have now become part of the world, part of the cruel world. Instead of being happy with what they have, they had to give something so precious from inside their world to get something from the outside world. And the world is unjust. It will ask you for more and more and more of what's inside once you've made that trade. But the goal is to never go back there. We all get tempted. We all slip. But the goal is never to go back there. Never to do that mistake again. Because we will live with ourselves for the rest of our lives. And if we don't understand that idea, then we can do whatever we want and whatever gets us ahead. But if we understand that we live with ourselves for the rest of our lives, then our decisions will be different. Our self-image will be so much more precious. And that's the point. We have to live with ourselves for the rest of our lives. So if we don't align our actions with that, and we don't understand that our self-worth and self-image and self-respect, they're so much more valuable than whatever else the world has to give, we will make mistake after mistake after mistake. And we will sacrifice all of these things until we have none. And that's a bad place to be.